Stratus Foods is the industry partner you can depend on when you're looking for the very best in fats and oils. Our team of expert researchers, developers, and innovators have helped countless businesses just like yours bring their delicious menus to life. With products that are reliable, sustainable, and ready to meet any challenge, you can fry, bake, saute, and grill with confidence. Stratus Foods, we've got you covered.
McDonald's heart may have grown 3 sizes with its latest promotion. Subway's got yet another franchise controversy on its hands, and restaurant chains are realizing that maybe they should cool in all of those new innovations. Welcome to Extra Serving, a podcast for Nation's Restaurant News. I'm Editor-in-Chief Sam Oches, joined by my colleague Alicia Kelso. Alicia, you and I are both nice and cozy in our hoodies this week. We're kind of coasting into the holidays, feeling a little bit more chill on things, are we not?
Yeah, and I want to note this El Pollo Loco sweatshirt was sent from their CEO for my birthday because I had an interview with her on my birthday and she felt really bad about that.
Wow,
so.
that was a very
Shout
kind
out to Liz
do.
Williams, yes.
Shout out Liz Williams at El Pollo Loco. I meanwhile, too, have swag. This is my Din Tai Fung hat. You like that?
Yeah.
And I also am smelling my Paris Baguette Latte candle.
Ooh, I'm kind of jealous of that.
It's the most wonderful time of the year where the restaurant swag is running strong. They're in the wash. I will have them next week perhaps, but I have First Watch socks now, the bacon and egg socks. And that's because I just got back from Tampa. I was in Tampa Thursday, Friday to chat with Chris Tomaso of First Watch, CEO. This is for the latest episode of Signature. Now, I'm going to blow your minds with this, but this week we're releasing our episode with Scott Boatwright of Chipotle. And then a month from now, we're going to have Chris Tomaso, CEO of First Watch, coming in hot with back-to-back months, back-to-back episodes. Alicia, you know as well as I do that Chris Tomaso is one of the good guys. Not that there is any bad guys. I think we love everybody for the most part. But Chris Tomaso is a real gem.
Oh, I agree. Accessible, personable, just totally, just a great guy. Every time I talk to him, I'm like, gosh, you're really great.
He's just really, yeah. And maybe that's what it is for us is like, accessibility with CEOs is kind of our thing. That's what we do. We are writing about this industry, covering it. And there are some companies and some executives that are a little bit harder to get to, which, is a strategy. Fine, whatever. But when a CEO especially is willing to sit down and talk with us, and that's not just an ego thing. That's us saying that it's the right thing to do for the industry and for your company. You should be open and honest and transparent about what you're doing. It shouldn't be so calculated and strategic that they're trying to control everything you say. Mind you, Chris is the CEO of a public restaurant company, right? So it's like almost like there's more to lose if something were to go wrong, but it doesn't go wrong because he knows his stuff. People might forget, Chris has been with First Watch for almost 20 years. Since 2006, he became CEO in 2018. He's been doing this a long while. He knows what he's doing. And it's gone from 60 locations when he joined to roughly 600. So grown tenfold in Chris's season with First Watch. Anyway, that's just a little teaser, a little spoiler to know that next month in January, you can get more on that episode with Chris. But this week, that is the week of December 8th, you will get the episode with Scott Boatwright of Chipotle, which is also a fantastic episode, and I highly recommend because Scott, another one of the good guys. I have a lot of fun with this series, Alicia, as you can probably tell. It's fun to go around chatting with folks. We've got a great slate of CEOs participating in Signature in 2026, so stand by for more on that and follow along at nrn.com. Let's get into the news, Alicia. Let's start with McDonald's Grinch Meal, which, based on the email that you sent me, I have a feeling you love quite a bit. Do you not? Oh, there are socks. If you're not watching this on YouTube, just know that there are now socks hanging in the video.
And as of Monday, December 8th morning, so we have been there twice to get this Grinch Meal, and they are no longer available in our market.
Oh, okay. So I'm
sold
probably
out.
late if I tried to go in Columbus.
Yes, and I just jumped onto Reddit last night because we tried to get one yesterday on the way home from soccer practice, and they were out of Big Mac supplies. They were out of buns and sauce at our local Louisville restaurant. And so I jumped onto Reddit. They're selling out everywhere. I mean, this is such a wildly popular. There are a couple of McDonald's folks that I follow on Twitter that are corroborating the fact that this has exceeded expectations. There's one guy who I believe is a senior director of marketing who said this exceeded the Minecraft meal and the snack wrap launch. I did reach out to traffic firm Placer AI this morning to see if they had traffic yet, because this meal was not introduced until December 2nd. It has not even been out a week. They don't have data yet on traffic. They are going to get that to me on Thursday. So stay tuned here.
Well, and to be
I will
clear,
report on
so
that.
so you get a choice of a Big Mac or a 10-piece nugget, but this meal comes with also the socks if it's still in stock. But then also it's coming with this this packet that you dump into the fries. But it's a spice. Is it a spice? Is that you're putting over the fries?
It's a dill pickle, and forgive me, I'm looking for my receipt because I did save my receipt because I think that's part of the conversation here. Here it is. Okay, so yes, you get this bag, this packet of dill pickle flavored salt. You pour the salt in the bag, you pour the fries in the bag, and you shake it. McShaker Fries. These have been available in international markets for years, and they've been wildly popular. This Grinch Meal specifically came to Canada last year. I was back at Canada again, but this is the first time these McShaker Fries have been available in the U.S. So I do think that's part of the excitement here. I liked it. I love dill pickle. I liked it to try it one time. I otherwise don't mess with my world famous fries.
You like them unadulterated.
Correct. Yes, those are world famous for a reason. But there's all these hacks now. Like people are putting this dill pickle salt on their nuggets. They're on their their milkshakes. They're putting them at, they're trying all these hacks. So that adds a level of experience that we don't typically get from a place like McDonald's. And that's no disrespect for McDonald's. This is a drive-through heavy, concept, obviously. And they are giving us a reason to try and have a little bit of an experience, a new flavor, which we know that customers want. You can get a 10-piece nuggets or a Big Mac with this. And of course, a medium drink. And then you get these socks. These are high quality. Look at these socks. These are high quality Grinch socks. There are several variations. They all have McDonald's branding and some cute little note from the Grinch. Mine was $12.18.
Hey, not bad.
I don't think that's a bad. These socks are probably $12.18 on their own. It's little shops that you go to.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about the value equation, Sam and I, and how that definition of value has changed somewhat dramatically in the past 10 years, especially.
Yeah.
And how it's about far more than just price point. This, I think, is a great example. And the packaging, I don't want to be dismissive of the packaging, but the packaging is really, really cute. It's Grinch-like. It's, there's a degree of nostalgia here, which is huge. There's some 50% of adults who said they would buy something just because of its nostalgic value now. It's a comfort level in a time where things seem a little uncomfortable. And so, like I said, we'll get traffic numbers on this on Thursday, but right now in my market, at least, and on various anecdotes on Reddit, this is sold out less than a week, exceeding expectations, according to, some commentary on Twitter. I want to shift over if I can,
please,
because I think that there's something else that's happening here. And that is Burger King's SpongeBob meal.
Oh, right.
Is running the same time. Same launch date, same sort of holistic value where you're getting these new items, including this fun new frozen pineapple drink as an experience, a piece of strawberry pie. They are also starting to run out of supplies with the SpongeBob meal. And I got an email confirming that this is, quote, swimming off trays faster than Gary can chase it. And so I think this is a really, the Grinch is saving Christmas this year. Let's just put it that way. And
Yeah.
it's kind of fun. I think the quick service burger category especially needs some wins.
Yeah.
And we saw Wendy's have a nice tailwind with their SpongeBob promotion earlier this year. Now it seems like Burger King is riding a similar momentum. SpongeBob is obviously wildly popular. Apparently, so is the Grinch. And when we talk about the value and the holistic definition of value now, we are not just we're getting fun packaging, we're getting new, exciting offerings, experiential offerings like this frozen pineapple drink with foam, like this McShaker Salt, like these socks on Burger King side. You've got SpongeBob swimming through the app and various. It's just a neat. It's more than just getting handed food. So
Yeah, well, and two things here, which is the first is this idea of experience, right? Like value in experience, which restaurants are talking more and more about, and there's more and more data to support this notion that customers are not seeing value as a price point as much as they're seeing value as what kind of experience do I get with that price point, and that's why full service restaurants are gaining some momentum right now, because you do get the experience of being in the restaurant, you get the service, you get better food, even if the price point is obviously it's a higher check average because it is a full service restaurant. This is the same idea. This is not just a bundle of items that McDonald's has and is doing a little bit differently. And it's not even just the socks. It's the experience of putting the dill pickle seasoning on the fries and shaking it up. And so, it may seem simple, but this has worked over and over again for a lot of companies. For McDonald's itself, with a lot of the meal deals they've done in the last couple of years with celebrities, it's that I don't want to say all you have to do, because it's not like this is so simple for a company like McDonald's to do, but you add a little something special to what you already have on the menu. These are not new menu items. With Burger King, they developed a new menu for this. McDonald's, all they really added was that dill pickle seasoning. The rest of it were these touches like the packaging and like the socks. So there is, to give that experience to customers, I think is big. And then something you touched on, Alicia, which is also noteworthy, is that nostalgia. I mean, if you think of the Grinch, you have three versions of the Grinch as I see it. You have the version that our parents grew up with, which was the OG, right? Then my generation, at least when I was a teenager, you had that Jim Carrey version, which is by far the inferior version. But then there was this one that came out a couple of years ago, the animated one that my kids love. I mean, we've watched that movie over and over and over again. The point is that the Grinch is a character that endures. And so McDonald's picked a fairly safe IP here to appeal to all demographics. And we talked about that last week with Burger King, where sort of similar with SpongeBob, where he appeals to multiple demographics, being around now for 25 years. There's multiple generations that have embraced SpongeBob. And so, I think there's lessons there, which is that customers want experience, they want nostalgia, and you can find a big win in something that appeals across the spectrum, across the demographics. And at the end of the day, who doesn't love Christmas? Minus, the Grinch himself.
Well, apparently you can't find it anymore.
It's gone. It's out. Yeah, it's gone. Sorry, everybody. So I hope you enjoyed the idea of it that we talked about. You cannot check it out for yourself. Although maybe I'll scour a few local McDonald's.
I want to make one really, really quick final point. In early 2023, McDonald's came out with this sort of a restructure of its corporation, because it was such a globalized company. And it was called One McDonald's Way. And the whole point, according to CEO Chris Kempczinski, was to break down these barriers that he thought were sort of hindering the company. Where there is success in one market, they weren't easily able to replicate that success in other markets because there were just too many silos. And I think that this sort of McShaker Salt that we're seeing come to the US might be a product of that work that has been done at the company for the past year and a half, 2 years. It's been proven popular in various markets, especially in Asian markets, as McShaker Salt. And now we're seeing that people are very interested in it here. And I do think that this is, like I said, the result of McDonald's working toward that One McDonald's Way, where they're breaking down those barriers.
Well, and yeah, there's a whole other conversation to be had about international flavors and tapping into international markets for ideas, and how I think in the next couple of years, international global flavors are going to be bigger and bigger and bigger. Actually, we did talk about that last week too. And so it's something to pay attention to there. That if you're stuck with R&D, look overseas for some flavor and innovation ideas. All right, we got to roll into another QSR value play, but one that is not so popular, at least with franchisees, and that is with Subway. Our colleague Jonathan Mays over at Restaurant Business has written a few pieces about this situation, which is that Subway revamped its Sub Club loyalty program, which used to be around, over 20 years ago. They discontinued this thing because at one point they used these stamps, kind of like a punch card, but there was these stamps, and then there was the whole issue with fraud where people were replicating the stamps and getting free sandwiches. So now they want to bring it back. Subway does have a loyalty program, so this is not some new loyalty program necessarily, but it is like a loyalty play. And the idea here is if you get 3 footlong subs, you get the 4th free. Now, I think most of you listening are in the restaurant industry, right? So you're probably running some numbers in your head and thinking to yourself, wait, hey now, what? Hold on. 3 subs and you get the 4th free? Like, that is a little too good to be true. And yes, the franchisees believe so as well. It has become pretty unpopular with the franchisees. Again, Jonathan Mays, I highly recommend you go to Restaurant Business to catch his reporting on this, because franchisees are not happy. One of them said in a story that Jonathan wrote that it is essentially profit suicide. Because that is the footlong is the iconic Subway menu platform, and they're basically offering to give 25% of them away for free. I can't get the numbers to me in my head. Certainly we're talking about it, so maybe that was what they intended all along, just to stir up some news. Alicia, what do you make of this play from Subway? And by the way, to set the stage a little bit more, as Jonathan noted in his piece, Subway, for context, has closed 8,000 locations in the last 10 years. Subway continues to struggle to figure out what's going to get them to finally reverse this negative, trajectory they've been on for the past decade or so. I have no beef with anybody who's trying to use a loyalty program to do that, but this seems a little extreme. Alicia, what do you think?
Yeah, it's certainly extreme, aggressive, whatever word you want to describe it. I want to caveat that real quick. The nostalgia piece about this, I do love. Like,
Sure.
that you're too young, but I was huge into those stamps. I would collect them and go to my local Subway in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh yeah, represent.
Yeah. And so I really, when they came out with this, I was like, oh, that's cool. It's a digital version of this nostalgic, loyalty program that folks my age remember. And one of the first and most successful loyalty programs, that Stamp Club.
Mm-hmm.
We know loyalty is now a necessary battleground.
Yeah.
And, so this aggressive play, this 3 buy 3, get 1, or buy 6 inch and get 1.
Right.
This is going to inject Subway into that competition, very quickly. And I think that is maybe a great thing for the brand, as more brands are fighting for phone real estate. But to your point, and of course to Jonathan's reporting point, not for franchisee profitability. And as we talk about the dwindling, numbers of the Subway system throughout the past 10 plus years, we have to look at what is driving, what was driving that. We can, of course, argue that they oversold this, their units to franchisees that probably weren't qualified. They cannibalized the hell out of each other, selling, franchisees like basically next door to each other.
Right. Yeah.
But Subway's average unit volumes at the end of 2024 were 485,000 and you just you cannot run a restaurant under $500,000, anymore. We talked about this at length, Sam. The P&L is different than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Their franchisee, their average unit volumes are not even clearing $500,000. Considering labor and food costs, that's just, and then to throw this aggressive deal into the mix. And I think it's worth noting that an aggressive deal, that $5 footlong that Subway has kind of boomeranged back to a couple of times to, again, inject itself into this competitive set where it hasn't really been top of mind in that consideration set for a long time, has gotten the company in trouble before, because franchisees cannot make it work on $485,000, not in 2026.
And their competitors are all hovering right around $1 million AUV.
Yes.
Most standard QSR chains, 1 million is expected. You should be hitting 1 million in AUV, and Subway is less than half of that. And then worth remembering, it's 100% franchised. And the vast majority of Subway is mom and pop franchisees. And, credit to Subway for being able to make the American dream come true for a lot of folks, right? That's the idea, is that, once upon a time, their franchisee fee was like $25,000. I don't know what it is today, but it's very, very low. It is a very accessible franchise to anybody who wants to go start over with a new career and try to make it for themselves. But to your point, Alicia, Subway has not been very good about instituting any kind of controls that ensure profitability for that franchisee. It's a little bit of the Wild West out there. It's like, here's your Subway, but good luck and Godspeed. And so this is a great example of, a franchisor-franchisee relationship historically has not been great because of all of these reasons. But, you throw something like this onto it, and it just demonstrates the problem that Subway has, which is that Subway thinks, oh, here's a great deal to get the attention of the customer. And let's face it, it is a play at traffic, right? They're trying to get traffic in the doors right now, hoping that people remember, oh, yeah, Subway's a great value sandwich player. I'll come back here instead of going to Jimmy John's or Jersey Mike's or whatever it might be. But this day and age, especially, Alicia, you're hearing it from all your sources all the time. I'm hearing it from a lot of folks. It has never been more important to focus on your four-wall economics, to focus on your profitability, because traffic's down, sales are down. That will come back. You cannot make a knee-jerk reaction to try to build back one of those metrics or both of those metrics at the expense of your profitability, because if you're not profitable, you're not operational. You're not going to make it. And Subway, especially, again, with these families running these Subway restaurants, if they are not making money, they cannot stay in business. And therefore, 8,000 Subway restaurants have closed in the last decade. So again, not a mathematician, not a restaurateur. I like to pretend that I know a little bit about this industry. I know that those numbers do not work. So, Alicia, finally, let's move on. You wrote a great story about menu simplicity. Speaking of, we talked about simplicity a bit on this episode, and we're going to talk about it more at length now, because you're hearing, Alicia, from a lot of companies. What you've seen from a lot of companies is that there is a trend to get back to the basics, get back to the core menu offerings, and not get distracted by a lot of shiny bells and whistles. Tell me more about this and your reporting that you've done, Alicia.
Sure. The impetus of this is the Domino's UK CEO was let go after 2 years. And so I was just kind of casually reading just to see what happened there, because Domino's is doing great here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, we don't really follow the UK market all too closely, but it turns out he led a strategic shift toward fried chicken. And he said the pizza market was nearing a saturation point. And whoops, that's just not what, that's not what their customers want. Yeah. Well, couple that with a lot of the commentary that I heard on the third quarter, during the third quarter earnings round. And there's absolutely a story here. And it's intriguing to me because it's like the industry is like, they've got to reconcile. Something has to reconcile here. Because on one hand, we're launching a record number of LTOs at that traffic play, to your point. And on the other hand, we're seeing a lot of companies go back to their core menu because they got a little bit too carried away. Now, Sweet Green is a good example here. Their executives said that their Ripple Fries launched earlier this year, quote, complexified. And I actually love that word. I know it's made up, but
Makes me think of strategery.
yeah, yes. But is that not a good example here?
Yeah.
You know, and it all goes back to that value equation that it's more than price point. When customers come in and they're overwhelmed or they just want to know what to expect. And we've heard that on several calls. Wendy's, Papa John's, when Todd Penegor came on board last year, that was the first thing he said. These Papables, these Papadillas he didn't say complexify, but they were complexifying things. And, you know, there are several brands that have had this sort of come to Jesus moment because they weren't performing up to par, and Popeyes is a perfect example here. Just got too carried away with LTOs. And now they're going to come back to their core. This is not new. I mean, the industry always really pendulum swings in one way or another. What's intriguing now is that we are an environment with a record number of LTOs because we have a desperation to get traffic back.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, look over here, shiny new item that is on trend according to this report. But then they don't know where it's just confusing customers.
Yeah.
Especially coupled with just a barrage of value news. Oh, here's a deal that we're running this week. Here's a deal that we're running in 2 weeks. Here's a BOGO that we're off. There's just too much noise where it could have an adverse effect where it just kind of repels guests to, again, rely on those places that, where they know what to expect. And, if you think about, like I had a call a couple of weeks ago, Joel Yashinsky, the CMO of Burger King, about why they're doubling down on burgers. Like, it's what we do. It's what people expect from us. Same with Texas Roadhouse on their third quarter earnings calls. They got hammered by beef prices. And so, of course, a logical question from an analyst is, hey, are you going to maybe adjust your promotions or your menu merchandising to focus on chicken? He's like, no, that's not what customers expect from us. We're steakhouse.
Right.
And sometimes it's simple, more simple, but simple is hard to execute.
Yeah.
Right. So I was pouring through this Consumer Edge 2026 Outlook report, and they said clarity of concept is the new currency. And I know I've said that on this podcast report before, and I think it bears repeating, especially in this environment. It's too noisy.
It's such a great point. Even just yesterday, I was in a car with my guitar player in my cover band as we were driving back home after practice, and we got to talking about Wendy's, and he was saying these exact things about Wendy's. I remember when it used to be, this, that, or the other thing. Oh, when it was just you got the baked potato and the chili and the cheeseburger, and things used to be better. This notion that things get a little too off the rails when you start changing all the stuff. Wendy's, to their credit, admitted it, as you said, Alicia, on one of their earnings calls earlier this year. They said we got distracted. I think every company needs to think about that clarity of concept. Such a great term, and it's sort of juxtaposes with that concept that we were talking about last week, Alicia, the sea of sameness. Because I think if you really want to avoid the sea of sameness, and if you really want to double down on what differentiates your concept, start with what made it great in the first place, because that's what made it successful. Texas Roadhouse hasn't really changed their menu hardly at all in 20 years. And the reason is because it works, and that's what customers want out of it. And if you want a great example of like longevity, consistency, durability, that's a great chain to watch, because to your point, Alicia, beef costs are hammering them right now. Now their traffic is up, so they have the luxury of that. But beef costs are hurting, so profitability is hurting. But they're not going to make the knee-jerk reaction of changing any their market mix. They're not going to change. They're not going to come up with some LTO, because that's not who they are. And with this idea of pendulum swing, the economic conditions will improve. It's tough right now, no doubt, but economically speaking, things will get better. And you just kind of have to double down and, again, focus on what makes you great and not try to throw the stuff at the wall for that short-term fix. That's the kind of stuff that gets you in trouble. And you said it great, Alicia, and that is that customers are overwhelmed by choice. They're overwhelmed by message. There's deal fatigue. And we've seen that coming for a while now. And it's pretty easy to read the tea leaves because this has happened before, which is that they get overwhelmed by all this stuff. They don't want the deals and the discounts anymore. They just want a good experience and a good menu. And I think if your restaurant is set up to do that, you're going to be prepared to capitalize once these economic conditions do improve.
100%. There's not just deal fatigue, by the way, there's decision fatigue.
Yes.
And totally. What intrigues me the most about this story, to sort of tie it in a nice little bow, Sweetgreen's Ripple Fries did great. Customers loved them. They generated some interest, some traffic for Sweetgreen, which was in need of those types of things. But that complexifying, what the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. And it goes back to the new value equation, which is more than just price point. It was compromising the service. Think about the chains what's the chain that is, the perennial for customer service? It's Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
They rarely, if ever, launch an LTO. If they do, it's seasonal and they've got a playbook, Same with Raising Cane's. There's no LTOs at Raising Cane's.
Talk about simplicity. Holy cow. They got 4 things on the menu.
Texas Roadhouse, to your point, doesn't have LTOs. Mm-hmm. It's just we can figure this out without throwing too much spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks.
Absolutely. All right, Alicia, before we roll into today's interview, which is between our colleague, managing editor Leigh Anne Zinsmeister with Vishal Patel of Tacoria, I want to do a lightning round. And it's Christmas, so we got to keep it Christmas themed. Alicia, what is your favorite Christmas song?
What's yours? I have to it's that one.
Really? You got to think about it. It's that one. Do you not know what that one is called? All right, I'll go first.
I know what it is. It's wrapping paper. It's wrapping paper.
Merry Christmas. Wrapping paper?
Merry Christmas. Think I'll have this. Okay, I
didn't know that was called wrapping paper. Okay, so, joke's on me because I also didn't know what that song was called. I got to go with Little Drummer Boy. Not all renditions necessarily, but there's a lot of renditions. Although, if I wanted to go off book here a little bit, Christmas Unicorn by one Sufjan Stevens. Go look it up. 12 minutes.
We had yes. Okay. So it is. I know what you're talking about. That one is great too. This is really terrible of me to say, but I really like that. Do They Know It's Christmas song too? Because it came out in 1984 when I was a formidable age.
The 80s produced.
But then I always feel bad because I'm rocking out to it and it's about starving children.
Oh,
that's right. God, and I just feel guilt. I like Christmas Tree Farm also by Taylor Swift because I'm a Swiftie. So
I'm surprised I don't know that one, but I guess I probably should do the right thing as a father.
I'm sure your daughter will.
All right, that's all we got for this week's Extra Serving. We're going to roll now into that interview. Alicia, talk to you next week.
All right. You are one of the co-founders of Tacoria. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that brand? Because I think it will be new to a lot of our listeners.
Yeah, sure. So Tacoria is a fresh, fast casual Mexican concept we started 10 years ago in February 2016 in New Brunswick, New Jersey. I, along with my other co-founders, all went to Rutgers University. So we wanted to kind of bring back something to Rutgers that we would be kind of, proud of and create a concept that we would like to go to ourselves. It's a fun, casual concept that incorporates fresh food. We have tons of different proteins, our salsas, everything's homemade. And we just want to kind of create something that we would like to go to ourselves.
That makes a lot of sense. How do you all, with 4 co-founders, how do you kind of split up those responsibilities at the company?
Yeah, it took us the first year and a half to kind of figure out who's good at what and kind of run that part of the program, I would say. For me, I'm like the ops guy. I deal with the day-to-day stuff, everything from employees to vendors to our food aspect, etc. My brother, I have a younger brother in the business. He is effectively our CTO. He deals with all related stuff, whether it be POS related or internet going out or whatever the case may be. My other friend, he does all our finance stuff, so effectively he's our CFO. And we have another friend of ours who's involved, and he's more of the maintenance and the construction side of the business. So when it comes to build outs, repairs, he's the one that deals with it pretty much single handedly.
Yeah. Do any of you have a background in the restaurant industry before Taqueria?
No, so for myself and my brother, we were like the operating guys at our first location. So for me, my first day in the restaurant business was the first year we opened up. So for the first couple of weeks, I was washing dishes because that's all I knew how to do, and I had to learn,
Mhm.
the skills of the kitchen. So I was kind of equated to, I'm a pretty big sports guy. So whether basketball or soccer or baseball, it's like doesn't matter who you are outside before you step onto the pitch or the field or the court. It's about the skills that you show. So I had to learn my skills in the kitchen before actually getting involved in the kitchen.
What was that transition? Were you in something else before? Or was this like right
Yeah, I
out
was
of
in healthcare
college? What
admin.
was
I was
that?
in healthcare admin, so completely
Big
different.
switch.
Yeah,
Big
huge switch.
switch. What
Yeah,
was that transition like for you?
hectic, chaotic, stressful, but fun. It was so much fun. I mean, food's always been a passion of mine. That's what kind of led me to this. Um,
Mhm.
and I was so excited. It wasn't a struggle getting up every day, even though I was running on 5 hours of sleep. But it was just fun. It was something I look forward to every day, and it bringing its own challenges, own issues daily. But yeah, it was a labor of love.
Yeah. Tell me about some of those challenges. What are some of the things you ran into as you were getting things off the ground with a couple locations?
I think first and foremost, our first location, it was all new to us. So none of us were real restaurant guys. My other two partners who were involved, they have a sandwich concept called Mr. Subs out in Jersey, and they had a little bit of experience, but it was a complete different business. I think the volume that Taqueria initially took on kind of surprised us all, and there were so many things that I mean, we were blessed that the volume was there, we were blessed that the sales were there, but it was just something that we
Mhm.
all had to kind of deal with on the fly.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's see, tell me about the menu. You've used the word fresh a lot. What
Yes,
makes Taqueria stand out from other fast casual taco places on the market right now?
that is first and foremost. I mean, we don't have any freezers in any other location, so we get deliveries multiple times a day from multiple times a week from different vendors. Our guys are in our
Mhm.
shops at 7, 8 a.m., 3, 4 hours before we open, just because they're prepping for the day. So we're making our salsas, guacamole, pico, marinating our proteins. Everything's from scratch. So for me, that's the standout. I think our flavor
Okay.
profile, it's not for the weak. We do like our spices. We do like our, flavors that have a burst. So I think that's what separates us from most Mexican concepts out here.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you've got 12 locations, you said, right now in New
12 now,
Jersey?
we'll have
Okay.
14 or so in the next 6 months. Yeah,
Okay. What has it been like scaling that business and going from running one restaurant as a person brand new to the industry to having,
yeah.
over a dozen?
I think the best way to describe it's been multiple phases of the business. So for us, we were originally owner operators. So that that's for I was a dishwasher as I alluded to early on, a line cook, grill cook, had to learn every aspect of the kitchen for the first year and a half. I was at that location for 80, 90 hours a week from open to close, 7 days a week. As the business evolved, opening up our second, third, fourth, etc., we had to learn how to step away from the business. And everyone traditionally says, "Oh, you need to learn how to work on your business, not work in your business." But I think that kind of happened gradually for us, where opening up different locations, we were physically pulled out, and we had to learn how to develop our systems, processes to make sure things went right when we're not there.
Yeah. Do you ever think about expanding beyond New Jersey?
We are. Philadelphia's a great city that we would love to be in one day. New York City, it's our backyard. So we're looking to hopefully in 2026, we could take on some other cities. Yes.
Awesome. What's your favorite thing about being in the restaurant industry now that you've been doing it for almost a decade?
The people. I love working with the people. Our staff, just getting to know people from different walks of life. Um, we've been blessed to have staff that's been super loyal. We actually have a person whose last day is today, who's been with us since the first location. So almost 10 years in, and
Oh, wow.
he's moving away from New Jersey. So yeah, it's a little bit of a speed of a day for us, but I just getting to know him, just different other people that we have in our system. That to me is the best part.
Yeah, that's great. What's your favorite thing on the taqueria menu?
Oof, that's a tough one. I think it depends on the day. I love our burritos because they're packed. They're crispy because we toast them out. After we fold them, we toast them on the grill, and just a different flavor profiles between like the seasoned rice, the beans that are not just standard plain beans. We put a bunch of different spices in there. I love my pico de gallo, just like the spiciness of the jalapenos, the freshness of the lime juice in there, the tomatoes. So I personally love the burritos, but if I had to go with a taco, which most days I do go with a taco, would be I love our golden avocado taco. I love our um, carne asada, our pollo asado, so things of that nature. Yeah,
You're making me want to get out to New Jersey and
you have to.
try it
Where are
out.
you located?
I'm in New York, so I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
too far.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a real possibility. A real
Yeah.
possibility.
We have
Um,
locations in Jersey City and Hoboken, so not too far. Only a path
okay,
right away.
that's very easy. I won't make
Yeah.
excuses. Um, is there anything else that you think me or my listeners should know?
Whew, about the brand? We're a family owned brand still. I think people see 12 locations, and I guess we run a pretty nice operation where people think it's a franchise or a corporate structure of some sort. But no, we're still bootstrapped, family owned brand, family operated brand. Yeah, so I think that's probably the biggest takeaway, that we're not a franchise, we're not a chain, as people like to say. I mean, I guess it could be a compliment when people say that. But no, again, freshness is
Definitely.
our highest quality that we kind of go after to separate us from the rest.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for your time today. I'm looking forward
Thank you
to
guys.
getting out to a taqueria in the near future.